Good morning students. Hope all of you are fine. As you know that our term 1 syllabus is completed. So that is why now we will revise the chapter. And today the chapter we are revising, that is chapter 2 of your book, and name of the chapter is Writing and City Life. Beta, in this chapter we have already discussed about the Mesopotamia and its geography. With that we discuss the significance of urbanism, that what is the importance of urbanism. So in urban areas, beta, people, they are interdependent on each other, and even they are dependent on the rural people also. Like we have given example of the seal maker, that whosoever has to make a stone seal, he requires some tools for carving, and that bronze tools, those are manufactured by somebody else, and that bronze, that metal, that is taken out as a ore by some other people. So this way whatsoever the people are doing, they need help from other people. It means all the people, they are interdependent on each other. So there must be a social organization in place. With that, their fuel, metal, various stones, wood, these also come from many different places for city manufacturers. And in this way, the trade is organized and the storage is also needed for that. So even there are deliveries of grain and other food items from the village to the city, and these food supply, these are also to be stored. So many different activities have to be coordinated. So as we discussed the earlier example, that there should not be only stones but also bronze tools and pots available for seal cutters. So in this way we can say the urbanism, it was a system that some people give commands that others obey, and the urban economies often require the keeping of written records, because if you will find out beta, the written record, the literacy sources, these are available from the urban areas only. So the next topic of this is movement of goods into cities, that how the goods were moved into cities. As you know that goods can be moved through the transportation, and transportation can be through the road transport or by the water transport, but at that time water transport was very important. So as we know that Mesopotamia, it was very rich in the food resources, but its mineral resources were few. So that is why there were even in the parts of its south, there was lack of stones for tools, seals and jewels, and even whatever wood was available over there, like wood of Iraqi date palm and poplar, it was not good or strong enough to make carts. Like bullock cart जो उसका होता है, that wood was not suitable for that cart or to make boats. And even there was no metal for tools, vessels or ornaments. So how these Mesopotamians, they were able to get all these things? It means they have traded with their abundant textile and agriculture produce. And by this barter system, you can say their textile and their agriculture produce, it was exported, and wood, copper, tin, silver, gold, shell and various stones from Turkey and Iran, they were imported. So because these region, Iran and Turkey, these are very rich in mineral resources, but there is a less scope for agriculture. This way these economies like Mesopotamia, Turkey and Iran, they were dependent on each other. And even there was regular exchange. And how the regular exchange was possible? It can be possible through a social organization, and by the people of southern Mesopotamia. Now, beside these crafts, trades, and services, even efficient transport is also important for urban development. As we have discussed in previous topic, that in urban area, the people, they are not self-sufficient. The things, the food grains, they are supplied from the rural area to the cities. So this way, efficient transport system, it is very important for development of any urban area. So even they need, if we use the animal carts, then we will need the animal feed. At that time, the cheapest mode of transportation, it was water, because river boats, they were run just by the current of water. So for that, they didn't need any type of fuel, and heavy weight can be loaded in the boats only, like sacks of grain. But when we use the animal transport goods, they need to be fed. So the canals and the natural channels of ancient Mesopotamia, they were the very good routes for the transportation between the large and the small settlement. So in this chapter only, we will read about the importance of the Euphrates as a world route. Like Euphrates, you have read earlier that Mesopotamia was the place that lie between these two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris. And later on, this Euphrates rivers, it becomes a world route. So beta, this way, this transport system, it was very much important for the movement of goods into cities. Now the third thing, the development of writing. That how the writing system was developed in Mesopotamia. As we know that all societies, they have their languages, or they have their certain spoken sounds, and which convey the different type of meanings. So this is known as the verbal communication, and writing is also verbal communication, but it in a different way. So when we talk about a script or writing, we mean that the spoken sounds are represented in visible sign. Like if we talk about our Hindi language, so there is also a script, like Devanagari is used to write that sounds. The first Mesopotamian tablet, these were written around 3200 BC, and which contain picture like signs, like you can see here beta, these signs are given. And even there were about 5000 lists of oxen, fish, bread loaves, list of goods that were brought into or distributed from the temple of Uruk. So clearly we came to know with that writing began when society needed to keep records of transaction. When we can take example of accounts. But a shopkeeper, when he has to maintain the account, when so many transactions are there. The same way in Mesopotamia also, when the writing began, when they needed to keep records of the various transactions, as we have read in previous topic that they traded with the nearby countries like Turkey and Iran. So they are to write down, they are to note down those transactions also. So, and as we know that in this trade, it happened at different time, and many people and variety of goods were involved, so that from there the writing system was developed. So Mesopotamians, how they write beta, they wrote on the tablets of clay, and a scribe would wet clay and pat into a size he could hold comfortably in one hand, and he would carefully smoothen its surfaces. It means बेटा जो clay होती है, मिट्टी होती है, उसको flat करके एक tablet बना लिया जाता था, एक piece बना लिया जाता था, and with the sharp end of reed He would press wedge-shaped signs on it to smoothen surface while it was still moist. It means कि जब वो हल्का moisture होता था बेटा इसमें, then they just write or they just mark the sign on it when it is a little bit wet. And once dried in the sun, the clay would harden and tablets would be almost as indestructible. It और बेटा जो ये क्ले की टैबलेट्स होती थी, इसको बाद में वंस जो इनका स्क्राइबर होता था वो उस पर साइंस मार्क कर देता था. आफ्टर दैट इन टैबलेट्स को ड्राई किया जाता था सनलाइट में, एंड आफ्टर दैट दीज बिकेम indestructible, that cannot be destructed. And these written record आफ्टर द डिलीवरी ऑफ पीसेज, व्हेन बेटा जो भी उनकी ऑर्डर्स होते थे जब वो डिलीवर कर दिए जाते थे, आफ्टर दैट दीज टैबलेट्स वर थ्रोन अवे. लाइक हमें कोई बिल मिलता है और जब वो हमारे यूज़ का नहीं होता है तो हम उसको थ्रो कर देते हैं. द सेम वे दिस क्ले टैबलेट्स, दीज वर ऑल्सो थ्रोन. And once the surface dried, signs could not be pressed onto a tablet. बेटा जब एक बार वो सरफेस ड्राई हो जाता था क्ले का, अगेन वी कैन नॉट पुट एनी साइन ऑन इट. सो फॉर ईच ट्रांजैक्शन, हाउएवर चाहे माइनर, रिक्वायर्ड अ सेपरेट रिटर्न टैबलेट. इट मीन्स हर एक ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए उनको एक डिफरेंट टैबलेट चाहिए होती थी. This is why tablets occur by the hundreds at Mesopotamian site. बेटा in the excavation of Mesopotamian sites, archaeologists they found a lot of clay tablets. It is because of this wealth of sources that we know so much more about Mesopotamia than we do about contemporary India. बेटा this is the only reason these written clays, that these just work as a literary sources for the historian, and these sources are the wealth of sources for the historian, so that they came to know that much things about the Mesopotamia. And by 2600 BC, the letters became cuneiform and the language was Sumerian. As we read in the first topic that the language, as the people they were migrating to Mesopotamia, the language was also changing. Like earlier it was Akkad during the time of Alexander, then it became Sumerian. So in the same way, जो भी हमें sources मिले हैं, these also changed. Now writing, it was not only used to keep records, but also for making dictionaries. Like we are using at present, we are using different books for various purposes. Same way at that time also beta, these were used for various methods, like making dictionaries, giving legal validity to land transfers, narrating the deeds of the king. So whatever they just wanted to preserve, they just wrote on these clay tablets. Sumerian, the earliest known language of Mesopotamia, it was gradually replaced after 2400 BC by the Akkadian language. And this cuneiform writing in the Akkadian language continue in use until the 1st century, that is for more than 2000 years. So beta, till now the topic we have discussed, so now we come to know that why the urbanism was so important, and how there was movement of goods into cities, and as there was so many trade between different countries, that is why just to preserve those writings, the writing skills were developed. So beta, this was all about today's topic. Hope all of you have understood. Thank you and have a nice day.